CHADMicDUP playing a streaming music with a beat or rhythm to the background, wherein you can stream, as I'm streaming content now for a provider that you're watching, that will be claimed by the content creator of the stream beat rhythm music that you're listening to in the background so subtly, called Bounce by Harris Heller, which allows you to do that, allows you to play the music in the background, and it'll be claimed by Harris Heller so that you can play it, and then nobody else will be like, it's my music, you can't have that right there, and then bye bye your channel or whatever. So thank you. Harris Heller is a content creator for content creators. He creates content about content creation for people that create content. I think I got that right. Anyway, I've been testing my audios. It's been a minute. If you haven't seen me for a while, it's because you haven't seen me for a while. But if you haven't seen me for a while, it could also be because I haven't made any content, and I only just started making content. So that's probably another reason. Also, because my channel's just starting, so other reasons too. Today we're going to talk about schizoaffective disorder. And why I can't get the right thumb in the window before. Or how I spent 6 years suicidal way back when I was a teenager. One of the things that have been driving me forward to put myself out there is not only that I just put myself out there because creative mindset comes to me. I just spent 2 weeks in the hospital. This will tie up. I just spent 2 weeks in the hospital because I wasn't sleeping and having issues with delusions. I don't have auditory or visual things. I don't see things that can't be seen, but how would I know? I can't hear things that can't be heard, but how would I know? Instead, I create like a context. My mind will create a very small % chance and bring that forward and forward and forward and say, okay, that's the thing. And then find another small % chance and bring that forward and forward and forward, and that's the thing. So it's never gotten violent on my part. But people will take a small portion of a thing themselves in their everyday reasoning, and they will lie through their teeth. The masses, I do everything I can to not lie to the point where I'll tell you to your face, I don't lie. So call me out if you think I'm lying. I could do multiple things. I'll tie this back as well. I could see the thing but say the other thing. I could not traverse or truncate, but transpose two items. So like orange apple becomes apple orange, but I hear orange apple, the first one, or 1 2 becomes 2 1, but I hear 1 2. I don't notice. We all do these things. Or I say the thing that I'm canceling out on purpose so that I can hear what the not part is, and then hear what the part that I'm looking for is, but by that time the other party's reacting to the not part and being like, no, it's not what you just said. And I'm like, I know. That's one of the things that I do. And I can't stop it. I say the thing out loud because I'm canceling out, looking for the thing that I'm not trying to cancel out, and then the third party got to jump in and be the one to know things. Which is another thing the masses and people in large tend to do. We got to be the one to know things. And when I say people lie through their teeth, they do. The majority will say whatever they can get away with saying. That's the majority. They do. And when it's in the news that something happens, they take whatever scary thing it needs to be, and they sell you on it. And so we'll march for racial justice and rights, and we should. By the day when we're marching for properly, like, mental health. Like, over a third of Americans are a quote minority, right? Caucasian makes up about 70%. When I was a little kid, I looked at these numbers. Caucasian was like 70%. Black / African American, 12.5. Black. South Pacific Asian was like 3.5. Hispanic / Latino, like the other between Caucasian and black. But schizoaffective or mental health, I don't know. They use interesting ways of cataloging numbers when it comes to like people that are feeling like not waking up again anymore. Well, the question could be, have you ever felt like you didn't want to? And not like how far along on that plan, how deep, the question don't go any further. So, and I'm not trying to get at that for any other reason other than to say, masses don't march for things like that. It's not so easy. And when I tell you that I've never been a threat to anybody else, it doesn't matter. Because once you got that label, and once I'm 17, it doesn't matter. Because I was 17 when I was diagnosed. And I was only 17 and a few weeks old. And the larger reality of it is that in my life, I stopped sleeping the year I turned 4, and I had irregular sleep patterns because of highly traumatic and incredibly rare sequence of events. And that's something else that also the masses have trouble dealing with, is the idea that 85% on the bell curve, let's just say 85% on the bell curve. I gotta do it in frame, come on. In the bell curve, right? We have a flat line, and then we go up here. This is the majority right here. This is the majority number. And we go back down. About 85% is in this mass right here, let's just say, for sake of argument. And then 7.5% is over here. 7.5% is over here. And the masses look towards what they want. Let's say that that's to my left, which is to your right. And they don't look to what they don't have and think, wait a minute, we're better off than this group. Or they'll think to a country, not America, for Americans, right? We're 1/3 of a billion people, around that number, 325 or so million, 330 million, somewhere in there, right? And the world population has hit 8 billion, but we can't conceptualize a little league ballpark worth of people. Barely 125 people is the number that anthropologists or sociologists or people that study mathematicians or philosophers look at this kind of stuff too, population groups, that we can keep in our daily lives and kind of manage. Is the average number they tend to say is about 125 people we can keep in our day-to-day over the course of a year, so to speak, and keep relationships with. We can't really imagine a whole Little League ballpark or a whole baseball ballpark, let alone a Super Bowl. It just happened. This is February. I'm supposed to kick off today. It's February 15th, and I know the Super Bowl happened. I couldn't tell you who was in it. Cool. Didn't find any invites. I'm approaching the day, and I doubt I got any. That's how it goes. The masses will think about their teeth being perfect before they think about a guy missing 4 teeth and then 10, or the kid who was 8 years old and kidnapped, or the kid who was 4 years old and kidnapped. The year he turned 4 he was kidnapped. That's a difference. Or complete lack of sleep, or that I've never had a violent note in my body but to defend others. Hell, there's a bar out here, Bailey's Pub at 35th Avenue in Union Hills, and if they're still running it with the same guy there, you probably just walk right up and ask him. They watched it on video, what I was able to do in a split second. And in that moment, defending somebody else in a bar, I felt down because a guy had 2 punches into another guy's face, and I thought, shoot, I should have stopped that before it was 1 punch. That's my mindset. And it doesn't change when I'm psychotic. And I don't become what a now PhD former friend of mine came up with in his defense of why I never got to go and visit his own place, his own house, his own home, his own apartment, whatever he wanted to call it in the end. He made up a whole story where I'm a violent alcoholic, where I barely touch alcohol, but even if I did, apparently I'm a violent one. And violent alcoholics don't make up the majority of alcoholics either. What am I trying to say? Violent alcoholics are the only type of person that drinks. He made up a whole story in his head as to why I couldn't be a part of his home, and then he downgraded to, oh, it's just stuff we buy. That man's a PhD now. Least of all is he my friend. I was in a hospital, and I was calling him because he's the only person that I felt connected with, and I'm so hurt over the years. I was cogent, and I can make sense of things when I was calling him in the hospital. I've already gone through it all. This is back some years back, let's say 5-8 years ago. And I'm calling my friend. I'll call him John for now. And I'm talking to John, not his real name, but whatever. And it just clicked in me, and I say, John, could the reason why I've never been a part of your and your wife's home and you never invited me in, could it be a part because of my diagnosis? And when I say that, it was so broken down in me, and I was so barely eking out those words, and he just jumped right into his story about a violent alcoholic while I'm in the hospital for lack of sleep and everything that I go through. I go through up to 5 days straight, as in 5 days straight, as in there's 168 hours in a week, there's 24 hours in a day, times 24 times 5. I already cleared that many days of 0 hours of sleep, 0 minutes of sleep, 0 seconds of sleep. Some of us know that we're not sleeping to the minute, and other people just claim it. And that's why I say things like, the majority lie through their teeth. I'm not sleeping. The average person falls asleep within 15 minutes. The average person has 3 hours or more that they're on their phone, beyond sleeping more than 8 hours, or at least 8 hours of rest time. Traffic and commutes all taken into that account. The average American has a food waste of like 20-25%. They throw that food away. The average American has $8.8 thousand of dental care in their tooth before they graduate college. The average American has lost their virginity before they graduate high school. The average American has kept their virginity at a rate of 1.25% on their marriage day. All that kind of statistics. People just lie through their teeth. Which I'm susceptible to, of course, as well. I have a pressure to lie in certain situations. It's much easier. And if someone were to call me out about that, I would say, yeah, you're right, I did. But find another one. And I don't think I'm trying to change the goalpost on that one. Severity of the threat is different. Severity of a threat is different. Severity of a threat is different. I do a lot more to be able to maintain that record of not lying, or trying to find when I last did, or when the social faux pas back. So I maintain a ground and say I don't feel comfortable answering that. or I find a way around it. I don't just blatantly lie. I can't means there's something out there that's significant and equivalent to it. I don't know, even while talking about it now, I was almost 18 months leading up to what I go through nowadays. And it's very easy for a person to spin up a story about what they see, and here's what they see. It's like a kernel of truth, or the center point of a large sphere, the center of our mass of our Earth, or the center point or sun of an astronomical unit, or one revolution around the sun, 1 year, which is elliptical, by the way. It's not a perfect circle, so it looks more like this than anything else, where this is a wide, this is a short path. Anyway, and there's like perihelion, and words mean the short path and long path, yada yada. It's all, it's all so well grounded and studied, and there were people that just won't believe that kind of a thing, but that's okay. Those people aren't responsible for the technology that works. It depends on those models holding true, so it doesn't really matter what they believe in that context or regard. They can believe something else that is true and something else that is false. It's all the same to me. But for the matters of the center point, people will take a center point of a thing. I use astronomical unit, center of revolution, which is the sun, even though it's elliptical. Center point of that would be different depending on how you're describing it. Center point of the Earth itself, or the center point of just a sphere, an idea. They'll take what they see as true, and then they build this massive story around it. So you get to the center point of the Earth, for instance, and then they build the rest of the Earth. The Earth could have been Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, depending, I guess. It could have been any planet in any solar system, could have been any celestial body. But they built Earth because they wanted to see Earth. By that I mean people take what little piece they see that's true or could be true or said to be true, but then they take it completely out of wild context. They get whatever story they want. And I guess we tend to call that a worldview, but then worldview's been used so many times along words like agenda, they don't mean anything anymore. And so I double back to when I say schizoeffective was me being not wanting to wake up anymore, so much so that I was planning all kinds of different things, running it in my head, not so that I would, but that so my quality of life would be equivalent to nothing. That's what I did for when I was diagnosed August. Well, I had my psychotic break on Wednesday, August 29th, 2001. And I didn't wake up Wednesday, because I didn't wake up Tuesday, because I didn't wake up Monday. So I woke up Sunday morning. And I slept less than probably 90 minutes, if I recall back, which I really can't do. But to that period of time, I would be awake for a day, sleep half an hour, sleep an hour, sleep an hour and a half, sleep 2.5 hours at most, 3 hours maybe, rarely. And then be awake for a day or two, 3 days straight, again and again and again. There was a digital display box that provided the cable channel on TV, cable TV back then. We had a really wide box, and the TV it was on for me was already like a whole generation behind my generation anyway. And it was an old JVC, I'm not sure what to call it. It had antenna ears on the back that didn't have to be like propped up, but they were like separate, like a little cable. And I could plug my old PlayStation into it, in the back little AV audio cables. So JVC, like a silver little box, and a curved bezeled screen that had a big back, about like this big. It's like this big, this kind of depth, and it would sit there in the corner of my table that made up in front of my bed. And on top of that would be the long Cox Communications for Arizona, and there'd be green digital display for the time, dot dot, or two digits, and then the dot dot for the colon for the minutes, hours, and then hours, minutes, and then dot dot from your perspective would be over here, I guess. No, because the camera switches it. Sorry, I'm trying to track too many different things at once, so that I end up double speaking. But I would know what time it was when I opened my eyes again, because I'd be looking at the same direction, or I'd find the time again quickly. I'd just roll my head over if I needed to, and I would see by opening my eyes, okay, I slept, and I could do the math. I slept 87 minutes. I slept 114 minutes. I slept, I'd be able to do the math very quickly in my head, just quick subtraction, whatever it would be, to figure out what time it was or what time it is, between the last two numbers that I saw. The numbers now and the numbers before I fell asleep. That's how I know I was sleeping in 2001 over the summer. And for whatever reason, a certain number of patterns in school about 2 weeks before 9/11 were different, which leave it up to your own. But there were a few things that were different that I'm not going to talk about right now. Whatever the case may be, my mind, when it doesn't see a predictable pattern and too many things happen, or it doesn't really matter how do I describe it, because anybody can take anything from it, and there's no other way to describe it. It's just when I'm there, I'm there. So There's other people saying they see things. Doesn't matter. I've had people tell me when I'm happy, I'm psychotic. I've had a friend tell me that when a former friend, a different person, I'll call him, no, I can't think of any other name, of course. I don't want to have to be thinking of secondary names for people I call former friends. This is disgusting. It really is. This guy wanted to tell me that I was being manic. Manic because I'm putting too much importance on words, on his words, a few weeks after he told me that he drank 7 beers in one night while out and he was concerned. He just blurted it out. And when he said that in front of all of us, 7, maybe it was 9, it was at least 7, I jumped up and said, no person's name. Like, no, I see good in you and you're concerned over here. But he was still staunch in his position, like he maintained his position that it was an issue, a real issue. And now it had been a few weeks later, and I got confirmation that the reason why, apparently he's been going out every Saturday night for months on end. And I can't go with him because, well, reasons and reasons. He made it abundantly clear within about 2 minutes to 3 minutes that he was knowingly, intentionally driving drunk. But when I brought it up to him, it ended up being manic. Because he gets to lie through his teeth. He gets to take that piece of truth that he knows that I'm schizoeffective, and anytime he needs me to be schizoeffective, guess what I just am? I just am. And that was all part of the fear that I saw in 2001 when I was first diagnosed. I had my psychotic break that Wednesday, and then I go into the hospital within about a month and a half later. They had no idea. It's very obvious they had no idea because I was there for about a month, and then 2-3 weeks later, I'm back, and then 2-3 weeks later, I'm back for about a month each time. And if they can't get me on a pill, a med regimen, it's not that they don't know what they're doing. It's that eventually you're out of their bracket of healthcare because we don't have healthcare in America. We have contracts and contract providers, and they can't say how to make money off of you more or less, and they downgrade this, upgrade that, downgrade this, upgrade that, downgrade this, upgrade that. That determines what classification of drugs you're on and all these kinds of things. My understanding, I could be wrong or just wrong in certain regards, but at the end of the day, we don't have healthcare, and that's my primary statement. Americans, no, we do not. There's about 70 plus other countries that do, 35 plus other NATO allies that will go to war with us, for us. We're in a war right now. America is sending all kinds of arms with other arms dealers and NATO allies with the NATO ally state right now. Multiple, and one of them has very much been engaged in war. So, or one of the neighboring ally states, excuse me. Anyway, the point there being is Americans don't have healthcare. We have contracts with contract providers. And if we're out of network if the ambulance can't drive there, it doesn't drive that far. If the person's not on duty that day or not there to see us that day, we go somewhere else. We could lose our own house because of a simple whatever issue that cascades because of finances. So that's one of the biggest issues we have as Americans, I think, and it causes all these other stressors. One of the other ones is that we're not really upfront in an honest, genuine way with how healthcare works. When we talk about our work, we don't really talk about it openly. We have to ask like 3 different questions. When I just talk to random people throughout my lifetime, I have to ask like 3 questions to get the real answer about what they feel about work. And it's always, could be better, pay could be higher, but that's not the real issue. It's more like benefits, consistency with the kind of benefits, and stronger benefits in healthcare. It's pretty much just always that. Common workers anyway, like the majority worker. And when I say earlier people lying through their teeth and taking that kernel of truth, they take that one thing they know is true. You know, my friend John knew that it was true that I was schizoaffective, and he was so worried for his own life. He couldn't reason that, what am I thinking that whole time if I have to hear from him again and again and again and again and again? I ended up inviting myself over and saying to him once, it made so little sense, but by then I needed it to be true. I could buy pizza. I had to invite myself into my friend's life and suggest perhaps I buy pizza, that I show up, and you know what? Even dinner's on me, friend. I've done so much for that man, working hard to be able to just fucking talk to him at times. And he has no idea. And then he managed to laugh in my face on the phone with him on the day before Christmas Eve over here. He's been in the state of Arizona in Phoenix And I find out because he says, we just got back. And I'm like, oh, John, you just got back. What, like, oh, from Phoenix. Because he was out for the month or half the month or whatever. And I'm like, oh, how'd it go? Because of course I had no idea. He made no effort whatsoever to see me, notified that I was there. I haven't gotten to see his wife, but with him like 2 or 3 times in my lifetime. Like, I told that person, I almost said man there. No. Men deal with their shit. I told that person that he was, for a time, the epitome. I saw him being a man, and he told me that I was going to make him cry in like the speech I was giving to him. I give to people so much of myself, and listening to them and focused on them and running like a digital slide deck, not a digital slide deck, a memory slide deck, or some people have like flashcards they use, like real life flashcard systems. I built my own way of doing my own kind of thing. I like memorize what they're saying. I make connected patterns with what they're saying. While I walk away for somebody, drive away for somebody, leave a conversation, or there's a lull, I resort them. I'm like actually running like card decks in my head kind of a thing. I do this at times anyway to help memorize and stitch things. I visualize these things. And over time it can be very powerful. And that when I see them again, or I know I'm going to see them again, or I'm driving to see them again, when I'm driving to see them again, I'll be thinking about them. I'll have to hear from people, Chad, you have a good memory. No, I don't. No, I don't. I use it. I use my memory. And it allows me to do things like not lie. If a friend of mine hears me lie, or somebody knows hears me lie, or they think I lie, take me aside and to ask me what's going on. Because it's probably something that's very serious, as in I'm trying to protect something and I'm very deliberate about it. So it's not like it's obviously still misrepresenting the truth, but there's not like ill to be had or what is it called? Because it's defining attributes about lying, where it's misrepresenting the truth, but in terms of something else as well. But yeah, I can misrepresent the truth. Obviously, I can say the sky's down, the ground is up, or whatever have it. But it's not in the cases that's so egregious, so blatant, so consistent as what I consider the majority person at all. And I'm not taking these little stories and I'm constantly contesting the thing. I see the thing, I wanted to contest it. I see the thing, I wanted to contest it. I don't know how I was left homeless by over 200 plus people for 18 months. I don't know how these 2 men, I don't want to call them men anymore, these 2 people I was so close with. One laughs in my face at the idea that I helped them through their PhD status, or even gave them the kernel of a conversation that built what became the topic, what became thereafter the topic, the core topic. Like, he laughed in my face at the idea that I benefited him in any measured way in the course of a relationship. He essentially laughed in my face at over 15 years plus of a friendship that I could have benefited him at all. That any measured amount of gained benefit to him could ever be had. I'm done. When he was doing that laughing, it felt like a shotgun. A shot off shotgun just right to my face, blowing my head back again and again and again. Then he cut it to, you have a self-serving memory, and then dude breathe. No. I don't want to keep going on about that guy. And the other guy calling me manic because I place importance on his words. Yeah, no shit. Especially when my friend is telling me they openly knowingly drive drunk, too drunk to drive me home. What? But they drive? And so I had the loss of both of those friends within the last few months. But the hospital just said schizoeffective, of course, so. Some people in America know that they can take like a free mental health day. They can even check in the hospitals and just say, it's like a blatant generic term. But you have to be very careful while you're there, because you're going to get a billing code. And billing code's what's going to go down in the history book or whatever. So. I have to look at the things that I did before I went to the hospital. Usually just like a couple small things around wherever I'm living, like a couple odd. I'll move photos in a weird direction, lay them out. Like, they make sense in the moment, I have to think back, and it feels more than embarrassing. It just feels like, how am I going to build a life on this? I can't even call a friend. I worked years. I'm staring at this little, I don't know what to call the guy. art mannequin, and he's got the hinges. I'm trying to think, joints. He's working his experimental ballet on the question of love, of course. So and he sits in front of a tea light candle, the one with the holder, the glass holder. I got to get the other two. They've upgraded these. They used to be just like this tall, but now it has the depth, so you can have a standing candle, I guess. So you get a two for the same price, maybe. I don't know. When massive companies can ping or like test, find out, get a reference point. I use ping in a lot of different phrases that most people just kind of know it for internet, but point back to back. You know something's there when you fire something at it, ping, I use it to mean that. But when they ping the price point, they find out through their testing schemes what a price point will be to move the exact amount of sales, then they put out a bid order. The massive company that shall not be named, that is both a grocery store, electronics store, a wage slave, fine grandpa, dying for no reason. Sorry. It's just kind of disgusting what you get away with when you're a massive corporation, both the right to vote as a corporation, and then not pay your workers and have instead the state pay you, the state pay your workers health care, and the state provides you police. That's Walmart, in case you didn't know. That's also a lot of other stores that are basically following that model, have been following that model, and do what they can for that model. Some people make a good job of it, okay. That doesn't mean that it couldn't be a better job or that what they're doing couldn't be better. I don't get it, but okay. Different topic, different day. Anyway, when you can ping a penny difference and get a factory to build it, you can get, I guess, better glass. No, we need healthcare in this country. Not tea light candles that are, a couple pennies cheaper. And they're accompanying tea light holders. But the man in front of it is my mannequin man. And he stands on the question and experimental ballet, mind you, of love. And so that's why it's shaped. And whenever I knock the desk enough, the desk gets knocked enough that he falls over. That's like my T-minus days and it's still counting. So he got the 7 days once. I don't know the other days in between and the days since. I keep forgetting to count them up, I guess. So I reset it earlier today, so today, I guess this morning will be 1. It makes sense. You stick around me long enough, it makes sense. I mean, I put my life into me so far, so I think that makes sense. My goal is to have my own experimental ballet into the question of love, and then get to keep, orbiting a fixed point, or Wifey for short. I've been working on what I call spousal theory. John Nash beat me to game theory, and therefore prisoner dilemma. So I moved on from dilemma to a better dilemma, or a theory based on a better, more core dilemma, or how to go about managing a home in the absence of one. And so I don't reason back from failure. I reason instead that she keeps me well, and then I keep her well, and then I keep myself well, and I keep her well. And I don't know the squiggles or the sigma to it all. What I call sigma is the symbol in math, like theta is like the egg split open, I guess, if you want to call it that. Delta's probably the most approachable symbol in mathematics, I think. After you have the plus and minus ideas, I think delta works best to teach people. This is a simple triangle, right? You can see the shape of a triangle in delta. You know, to draw a circle perfectly, you don't have to draw a square perfectly. It's just kind of like, what do you see? I see a triangle. Amazing. Triangle identifies change, and we call that symbol delta, D-E-L-T-A, delta. Change. We feel change because we wake up in the morning, so it's light outside or getting light outside, right? Typically, we get to get hungry. A lot of us do. Or at some point, we get hungry. Maybe we want to wash up a bit, brush your teeth anyway, stuff like that. And that change that we're feeling, that's the delta. We experience decay and change. Grandpa says things like smartphone. He doesn't say things like phone because he means to say that it's incorporating the internet. Grandpa's wise to the kids, but he chooses smartphone anyway. Because I have a smart salt shaker, it's going to show up one day. And the kids are gonna know. Grandpa is saying that the salt shaker is connected to the internet. He's not saying that it's intelligent. There you go. That's why he says smartphone. I don't know the squiggles to Wifey theory. John Nash kind of beat me to the punch on a lot of those things, but I'm glad he agrees with me. Wise, intelligent men who work hard towards their ends and do what they can to amount to something in this world tend to do that. A little self-joke, obviously. But partially true. I work hard. I do. And I worked hard in my mind when my home was stolen from me. I'm looking over now to where a pairing of letters are from my father's first wife. And my father was able to find me And no, he wasn't, because he died. But my father's first wife was able to find me via a popular social networking application, to which I'm sure we all know the name of, but it should not be named because it's just a social networking app, who cares? Of a Web 2.0 compliant model. And we're moving on to the Fediverse and a Web 3.0 compliant model, which allows us to not have to care about, for now anyway, not have to care about, you know, proprietary names so much. Because if you're Fediverse incorporated, or you're able to be propagated, or your information data sent through a Web 3.0 compliant network here, then a Web 3.0 compliant network here that communicates with these two, well, that's the compliance part. So now your information is able to be received and relayed over here, and then a third one over here, and a fourth one over here, and a fifth one over here, and even Flipbook.social has gone online to a thing now, and I found that out by reading a Medium article. And so far they seem like okay people, so I'll say those things. So far. And collections of what have you. The mastodons, the matrices, and the matrices of it all. The pure tubes. And I'm looking back to a photo now she sent me. Cute getting the photo, I guess. I don't know how else it's gonna come in, but my father would be opposite my fingers, all the way standing there, and she would be there on this side. I don't know who the man who looks like he was built from West Point itself. It just says Diane's Dixon's date. Well, Diane had come to die, pass away over the time that I'm fixing it to my keyboard now, over the time that I was homeless. And that was a gut wrench, and I still have yet to sort of process that. I'm looking at a photo of a woman whose life I don't get to be a part of or in because the 200 plus, well, whatever, because of reasons, I guess. No one can say any reasons why. It could be because of a coin flip that happened outside of my hand. I don't want to keep looking at it that way, it's disgusting, I don't mean to. I just can't make sense of it. In short, I thought out of people that I had in my life, I would have a couch. What does it say? Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. And I want to be forgiven then. That's how it works, isn't it? That's how it goes. Even in those moments where I don't feel any of it makes sense, I'm a secular person. Then I was a secular person. Now I'm a believer. But I cut down Christians so fast. What's that? No. Secular world's supposed to be the secular world. Go and talk and do as you are. Christians are supposed to demonstrate how to live well and do well and be well, and then interrogate other Christians, so to speak, for their philosophies, their viewpoints, not interrogate, but interlocute, discuss and draw to a point, but not like to hurt each other. That's not supposed to be the idea of it. Stoicism exists healthily, it does, within Christianity. By stoic, I don't mean a different Web 2.0 compliant social network with high detailed images of pixel perfect this and money, wealth, and fame. What? No. Nothing has to do with that with stoicism. Just the idea that if something doesn't move you, you can be moved by what? Money, wealth, fame? What? No. And that makes sense. Those images break themselves down so fast, it's ridiculous. Like the idea of associating one with the other. No. The difficult thing, the more difficult thing, the more than that difficult thing. And for the purpose of a good, to not be slighted in the moment by an offense. Meek in the original Greek, right? Meek in the original Greek meaning to, my understanding of course, more or less, is to not be slighted or be so felt an injustice of something that you risk a greater injustice of yourself by the way you react. So if somebody slaps you, okay, so what? They slap me. If I slap them, hit them, or hurt them, especially in a day and age with a smartphone where I can begin recording and then edit that recording, the large audience sees what? Well, they see me hit them anyway. Right? And I could get any number of things because of that. Plus, it's easy to hit somebody back. It really freaking is. You're a pendulum at that point. You get smacked, you just smack right back, Maybe not a pendulum, but I'm trying to think of a different mechanical body. I don't really know. Staring at the dancing man, he's not dancing. It's hard, because I took to myself Schizoeffective in 2001 when I had that diagnosis, and I did a paper on schizophrenia. And I know a paper in college or high school, in high school isn't a thing, but I was close enough to the thing to a reference point of the thing. And I watch, like, the kind of video that I watch, you know, the kind of thoughts that I have about what's going on in the world, the kind of things as a teenager that I would have known of. Being diagnosed, anything, mental health isn't good. And schizophrenia is the one that, or schizoeffective is the one that you lose your mind. All mental health is losing mind. Okay, I'm not trying to put a hierarchy there, but I think some leeway can be granted that one where you have delusions of grandeur is a sort of, there's a kind of hierarchy, is there not? I'm not trying to put myself on the Olympics of suffering or whatever it is, on the pendulum, or whatever, not pendulum, on the podium. Where bronze, silver, Olympic gold. No. It helps up until a point. I had this discussion often with myself because I would look back at it. It helps unto a point to understand, like, the severity of something, the value of something, what you deal with, what the average person does with, what average means in that sense. Up until a point, all that is healthy and good, can be healthy and good. And then it's the focusing on it, getting stuck there portions. But we're going to get stuck there anyway naturally. And to defeat that, there's a way to defeat that and move through it, and then research it, understand it from like a stoic or a removed from thing self, the meek self, or the removed from the event itself self, a researcher, philosopher, mathematician, sort of researcher, observer body of it all. That's helpful and beneficial. Yes, it is absolutely. Getting stuck there, we all naturally do anyway. Most people lie through their teeth. They just sweep it under the rug and then find a cute phrase to use instead. If the cute phrase works for them, it works for them. It's not a cute phrase, it's something meaningful. So I shouldn't say that. But what I often hear instead is, sweep it under the rug, give it a cute phrase. Cute phrase is just like, oh, I can't, I'm busy, I don't have time. I don't have any money, I don't have any of this. Just kind of like a thing that we accept, but then an idiomatic expression or expression like, grass is always green on the other side, or something like that. Just throw a phrase at it. And those words don't mean anything. If someone has the opportunity to say, grass is always green on the other side, they have the opportunity to be quiet and listen. And then ask you how you want them to respond, and to feel grateful that you shared with them. But those things are difficult to learn how to do, especially in the moment. I know it's better to do those things. I've heard from content creators who are first and foremost licensed degree holders in the practice of counseling and therapy. Next up, because it's worked for me. Next up, because it's worked in receivership for me, that I tell people how I want something to be processed before I offer something, or right as I'm offering it and talking to them. And I include it when they're talking to me afterwards. And I'm thankful for them, and I tell them those things. So I see it played out. I see the research behind it and the people talking about the research behind it and stuff like that. And I think working on those things that are more difficult are valuable. And I think leaning in. Leaning in, like my experimental ballet guy is always off kilter because he's just, a 5-inch or 4-inch, whatever this guy is. He's just a tiny little figurine person. And he's always kind of going to be off kilter. He's never going to have a footing. He's always going to be mid-motion, whatever you would call the phrase work, whatever you would call the motion work in ballet. He's always the Frenchman endeavoring once more to hop over the pond, albeit allez, c'est quoi? Which might be something, I'm not sure. He endeavors once more. It's important to do that. And I have to do that. As CHADMicDUP, I am... This is my name, Chad. Hi. One of many. And my father had my name in his back pocket so long that he encouraged his first wife well enough that when she ended up marrying or having her own children with somebody else, she named her first child, my understanding is, I think her first or oldest child's name is Chad. My father was convincing enough in his arguments, I suppose. He was moved by that name enough to give me it. And that's the moniker I carry, and I want to carry it with pride. CHADMicDUP is the appendage. MicDUP, appendage. What am I trying to say? Word before word, word after word. Anyway, is this product. And I'm just taking it where it goes. I recorded a whole bunch the first time. I think I still have those first few up. And then it came about like silly things. I even talked about not doing those things. I talk about taking 1,000 photos for 100 photos that are okay, 10 you kind of like, and 1 you think is good. But don't take one good photo. You'll never take that photo. You'll never find it. It'll never happen. You'll end up like a dozen photos. You'll end up like with most people when they buy the sport utility vehicle. My generation had the sport utility vehicle. For the sports we don't play, utility of it we don't have, and at least it's a vehicle. Or SUV for short. But sadly, I have to mention this. my mind will see it right away, that sadly had a high rate of vehicular turnover because the center point of gravity wasn't there for stability or for, safety reasons at all. It was just there to look cool and be cool and sell well, and so it had a high rollover rate and people rolled the vehicle over. Not because they're off-road sporting and knew how to drive it, because they're on the freeway. And that's us. That's why I close on that point. Not to be a Debbie Downer or to get something down on that point, but this where our minds chase a thing as an image, and then we don't produce its value or utility. NFTs. What's the value of a non-fungible token? It's a non-fungible token. Its value is that it can exist on a quote blockchain quote, and there's a registry, HTTP, probably not S, :// whatever, however it goes. The part where it proves its utility. I don't hear industries talking about NFTs. NFTs talk about themselves, and that's it. We chase the sale. We chase what we see, but we don't test first, but the ping back, is it there? That's all of us, that's me. That's why I start talking about it when I made these videos, however many weeks ago it was. And I talked about the one photo, take 1,000, paint 100 canvases, keep painting the same canvas over and over and over until it's so blocky you can't paint on it. Put it aside, paint on it again, paint on the back, rip it up, burn it, use the heat fuel source. Maybe don't burn it, depending on what you paint it with. Maybe watercolors are okay. Sure. If it's sold in the kids aisle, I'm pretty sure it's okay to do those things too. Probably not other paints. There was that one guy with the ear. Yeah. But keep working the thing and don't get stuck on the minor details. And I got stuck on the minor details. I was looking at, oh cool, there's guides for how to obviously do all the cool stuff in the description dialogue. Because that's the thing I was working on, description dialogues, right? No, just talking to myself, getting myself on camera, getting the lighting in the room. That's it. Putting this pole lamp over here that's to my right, but it appears on the screen as the left-turn portion of the screen, which I know it's being flipped. My eyes are flipping things too, and I can't. Yeah, I'm pushing to my right. Yeah, I'm working it out. But do I want to mention that? I even bought this camera to interface with that guy, John, because he had a smartphone capable of just doing it. And I had a phone that was just a phone. My phone wasn't smart enough to talk to my friend, so I bought the camera that's looking at me right now from the store so that we could video when he moved away, because he said we would. Guess what we never did once? Can you guess what we never did once? Well, it wasn't because of me and my end. At least I bought the thing. I don't want to be held down by it. I think he's better off without me. I'm better off without him. I don't want harm to happen to him. I don't. Just want him to know. No. Whatever he needs to not do that again. Don't do that. Because he's beyond spousal theory. It's not a model for a thing anymore. Model's a thing that we have built on the evidence we're able to have. The curve of a piece of glass gets better, so the model gets better. And it becomes a joke somewhere that dinosaurs have feathers. It's a joke that dinosaurs can move as they could until Mike Crichton wrote a book so well that a whole, industry was able to build the movie work of dinosaurs well enough that they realized that they moved different because of the technology that Steven Spielberg and his backing brought, and the production houses that brought Steven Spielberg and able to move that movie forward. And the series Jurassic Park was a thing. We didn't know they could move quite like that, is my understanding, whatever that means. So feathers are nothing after that point. Doesn't get in the way of God for me at all. Opens the door for more. Good questions. I stand opposite the secular world, within it and opposite at the same time. I think first the atheist, and the atheist to me has to defend their own marker. I don't understand atheism. It sounds to me like a former, now angry theist. A former theist, now angry. Okay. That's for an atheist to define and defend themselves and how they see the atheism, as opposed to the secular world that says, my understanding, an agnostic person, I can neither confirm nor deny the existence of God. But in my discussions, interlocutions, talking with each an atheist and a secular world person, agnostic, well, I have an atheist here and agnostic here, I will discuss and reference, I'll listen as best I can to the atheist, and I might hear vitriol, or I might hear some kind of spite, or I might hear a lot of emotive language. I don't know. But I hear claims that can't first be made because they're sort of listening to the elephant in the room talk about the lion under the bed. And sure enough, the under the bed, the lion's not there. Well, you know what? The elephant said it's in the closet now. And then they go to the closet, and guess what? The lion's not in the closet. But the elephant said that the lion's actually over there now. They go over there, and you know what? The lion's back under the bed, I guess. Trying to prove a negative. That's how I describe that. The elephant in the room is telling you where the lion is. So I just ask the elephant again. I'm telling you. I don't have an elephant in my room. I have God. That wasn't supposed to happen in that moment, but I don't know. But I talk to the secular world, and from the secular world, and I hear the agnostic, and I think of all the good math the agnostic is doing. And I think to myself, and each the agnostic, I say, that's a lot of good math, but where did the good come from? I'll leave it there. Doesn't mean I'm doing a good job of the whole Christian or theist thing. Monotheism, any of that. Doesn't mean any of it. It shouldn't mean any of it. Biblically doesn't mean any of it. The dogma says it doesn't mean anything of it. 8 billion people alive right now. We crossed that number a long time ago with a prediction marker that was accurate. I saw the 8 million marker coming up. I didn't know the second. I didn't count the names myself. I didn't know there were 8 million. 8 billion, sorry, I've been saying million a few times. But the marker there was for that year that we were going to have 8 billion births happen, my understanding. But, I'm not counting. And mathematicians, philosopher types, and sociologist types, we tend to agree that 100 billion is the overall our species, how we say human or Homo sapien has been born. My degree status is none, by the way. High school diploma, so there you go. Contest what you will as you will. It shouldn't be a degree either. I think PhDs lose that, and I had 2 close people who are friends of mine, former now, who I guess their mind befell into liking their signature so much that they preferred their signature over a friend. That's fine. That happens. It's a lot of hard work that gets you to that point, and sometimes it's top heavy and you kind of fall over into yourself. But I'm not going to live my life as a circle. I'm not going to hand out triangles 3 at a time as my basement and judgment for living, and I find of other people lying through my teeth with a head so far up my ass. I'm sorry, but that's what it is to me. People that live like a circle, their head so far up their ass, they're handing out argumentative triangles for other definitions for how they live. By that I mean a thing that just references itself. Thing. Not actually saying anything. Doesn't mean anything, not demonstrating anything. Their head so far up their ass, they're dying as a coward, and they're not even heroes in their own damn story. I want to finish spousal theory and keep on. I'm on chapter 9 now. I thought I was on chapter 1 too, but then I spent Christmas in the emergency room, and then I was walking myself home, and I knew the walk would be about 3 hours or so. And I had yet to know that my 3rd hour would be the same small, 5 to 15 minute walk, but I ended up having to walk that about 30 to 45 minutes because I got stuck walking in a circle and I couldn't figure out, even with the little guy in the GPS window, I couldn't figure out even positioning outside the map and inside the map. Outside the map is a male XY chromosome expression of the human genome thinking, and the person inside the map is the female or the XX chromosome expression of the human genome thinking. And the best way, of course, is to splice the two and use both ways, because orienteering yourself in landscapes and those kinds of things. And I still couldn't work it out. But I kept, probably because I had to walk myself home for 3 hours. And it was cold and it was Christmas, into Christmas day after. And I was way on people. And how that came to be. And so on. I don't want to be someone that sees a thing of truth and then spins up a story that's nonsense. And that's not my claim to God or belief either. I'm not supposed to be the good guy in my quote story. I'm supposed to be the hero of my own, and I think a hero is different than a good guy. A hero is an effort towards good, and a good guy is for someone else to say. So, maybe then what they're doing right now and how they treated me is them being a hero in their own story. They can't see it right now. I can't see them in my story anymore though. So my story is letting them go away. And we tend to sort of, we're in the age of understanding things in an archetype, I think, right? There's a comedian I responded to, made a TikTok back too. That's your fun too, I guess. and she was referencing, I guess, her niece or younger sister, or some younger person in her life, and it very much feels like a real story, whether it's her real story or not, but it feels like it might as well be her real story. It doesn't seem like there needs to be much change about it or embellishment. A very small, minor embellishment, if anything at all, is the characterization of a younger person in the story, where they don't listen, they don't relate or watch or consume plot-based media. That's a great line. We're dealing with archetypes and sort of frameworks within that. I guess. What's my morning cressing in the 10? I think I do this about an hour, I don't know, 15 minutes, whatever I do. ABD, always be downloading. So implied in that is always be uploading. Olbert dissertation? Always be downloading. Into the mind. With Harris Heller, stream beats. Because if you need a beat or a rhythm to your streaming content and you want it to be locked down by a content creator so that some giant other content creator, we can make our own content live for a 10-hour stream, and it could be like a small piece. I could have videoed the 3.5 hours that I edited a video down to 15 seconds, and the whole video itself was just small segments of a few seconds. My first TikTok piece that I made from scratch, I used DaVinci Resolve, free open source software, FOSS, free open source software, FOSS, FOSS. You can go to crowdsourcing websites like Alternative 2, for now at least, is a crowdsourcing website until they sell out to who knows. And on that website you can find what the free alternative is, not because people want something for free, but because people make things for free. Why am I doing this? Hard-working, tax-paying American citizens, there you go. Hard-working, and it also has a tax-paying, and you have to throw in the word American, and then citizens. I'm not sure what the next word's going to be. I guess my generation will find out and let you guys know. I'm 35 now, so I'm also running for president, which isn't a misnomer or mistruth either. I'm watching to this point, and I'm president. Congratulations. You chose wisely, I hope. I ended up there. You chose something. By the time I would be, if I were to be, then I hope those choices benefited you and benefit all of us. If not, I did what I could. You people like to be. What do I have to do at this point? I'm doing the thing where I'm checking my phone, where I'm dismissing the idea that I could be president. And I shouldn't be able to dismiss that. But the only platform I'd run on is healthcare. That's my platform, a single issue voter. And as soon as I see, the first time, I swear to God, the first time I ever see healthcare actually on the ticket of the docket, I will vote for it. Until that time, I get to vote. You show me where it exists, where both my vote actually allows me to move forward the issue, and the issue is being taken seriously by a Congress of people who are existing in the word Congress as well as a Congress of people who have the authority to prove that forward, as opposed to just sort of laughed in my face later. Healthcare, I didn't mean healthcare. I meant mine. Or whatever it would be. I think we all deserve it as humans with intrinsic inherent worth. It does say we the people. I saw that when I was in 4th grade, and I did my best to read the rest of it, and yes, I could read calligraphy at the time. I wrote calligraphy at the time too. Not well, but I wrote it. I wrote it on cards and cardstock. I was making them by hand. I learned calligraphy when I was 8, 9, when I could, 9, 10. So by the time I was in 4th grade and reading the We the People, Life, Liberty, Pursuit, Happiness, I was on it very finely. Why can't I? My brain still can't process this. There we go. I'll practice this later. And I was reading it, and I realized just how much longer it would take to finish reading the document. I kind of nodded to myself and passed it along to the next person, because it was sort of the 15-minute demonstration of what this was for this 1 hour segment that we had. And I had to go around my table, and I go to the next person and the next person. They should let us keep one and take one home. Maybe even then. I don't know. Kind of seems important. Not that, I don't know, it make a smaller impression, plus the idea that we can give it away for free. You would think a hype moment or whatever. My poor little brain. You would think in elementary school, give away a laminated piece of paper when it's that document. You think that would be one point they would have made. Wait a minute, we're going to give them the idea that we have value and worth, and that was a great statement that all these other countries, so that we took the theories of and ideas, I keep saying we Americans, at a period of time, and we took those and we put them into action with bloodshed, defending and standing on those rights as humans, enough that it's birthed this idea of their experiment democracy or democratic republic, anyway, in ours, and yet they can't give us a piece of paper to take away to pass it to the next person. Okay. That's why we don't have healthcare. Thus begins that presidency. My bid for the local, anyway. Why not if we need healthcare? Well, thank you, Hellas Taylor, for making things for free, for value in that. and the craft of the artist continues. I think it's important that we pursue our craft, whatever it is, be it a bit of poetry, be it a good breakfast, be it growing something in the backyard or pottery. I take that to heart when I have 0 plants right now, but it hurts my heart. This is my place. I've had it a year now. Don't be a jerk to myself. I'm trying not to be. I almost was a real jerk to myself there. But I have a chair, and I have. You can't see over here, but over here, if you could see it. Beanbag. So. I was thinking it would be like, $20 for something to that effect, and it was twice as much. And I was thinking, well, I'm buying it here because I have the ability to take it back within the time frame to take it back. There's justifications going on. A lot of men thinking, justifications going on. That I'd be able to take it back, and then sure enough, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. So maybe if I pitch it just right to the lady, the person at the desk, what would happen to me? Typically it would be a woman, but you never know. Desk clerk, return office personnel. We'll let it through because I'm not getting a $40 value out of it, and it's my right as a consumer to at least ask. 30 days, I like 30 days, 30 days. Because if there's a defect in a product that you find it wasn't marked as advertised, I think 30 days is good. Okay. Oh my god, if you stuck for this far. Honestly, why? Let me know in the comments. You don't have to. Would it be nice to know? You can click the thumbs up thing. I don't think there's any record or trace. I'm one of those people, when I started on my days on video on demand streaming on this little unknown site called videoondemandstreaming.com, and I was watching VODs on vod.internet with an internet connection that allowed me to watch video on demand streaming. It streamed to me on demand. It wasn't just live happening at that time. Somebody made it, and then it's just like sitting there, and then I referenced the thing, maybe using Boolean operators or search terms or something to the effect of the grotesque within Nicola Gogol's mind, or, I don't know, an advertising malware network scheme. One of the two. We have opinions and thoughts over here. Grandpa's got definitions. His definitions got definitions. He's a book of references. I didn't do that right, but anyway. Grandpa's got references. Something like that. Chamomile or chamomile? I go with chamomile. Chamomile? I mean, I'll take it. If you got it, but I prefer chamomile. Actually, I prefer honey, vanilla, chamomile. Or chamomile if you have it. I can find it. Video on demand streaming site. Oh, I should have kept looking. I should have just shouted that out. That was the reference point for the topical hop that I made, but not the why of it or the context of it. So I just have the word video on demand streaming site. So why video on demand streaming site? Do you guys follow rule sets? I follow rule sets. Oh, I didn't actually do the up or down portion. Hence, enseo oba oma. I didn't do the up or down portion. I didn't do thumbs up, thumbs down, like, dislike. I never did that kind of stuff. If I made a comment and reply to a thing, I would, but that would be like a forum discussion. And I would crowdsource. I didn't know the term crowdsourcing, I hadn't heard of it yet, but I would crowdsource. My account, under my gaming moniker, would have like 10 different registered web forums. If I had a question, I would find a web forum, but if I found one web forum, I probably found like a dozen. So I'd register my name, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you guessed it, 10. Sometimes 11 and 12 if I found 12 good ones. And then I would, it would take me like an hour, 90 minutes to write out one problem. But sure enough, 4 or 5 days later, that problem's either getting solved or it's everybody's problem. Like, they're all going to see it, a lot of other people will find it, nobody knows what's going on, and that's a problem that's going to get elevated at some point in time. It's the powers that be of the problem, whatever it is. A tech issue with a piece of tech item, software, hardware, or like a vehicle issue with a vehicle, or I'd have a different name, pick a random name for that one, stuff like that. But I wouldn't, video on demand streaming, YouTube, I use bookmarks for all that kind of stuff. I bookmark the videos page, and so I bookmarked the type of video content was, and then it's subcategory named there, and I had like 3 here, 5 here, 8, 11, 3, 5, 4, 2, 5 different content creators, and I just open those up in brackets, and across the tabs, I'd open up 3 groups or 2 groups or just 1 group, because there's a bunch of tabs, and I would just scroll through the next piece of content and open up individual videos. That's how I used to do it. I'm starting to do that again. I didn't have a feed that I built, and it took me forever to finally jump on the TikTok. Just wasn't being stubborn or anything. I don't know, I didn't see inherent value in it until I did gaming stuff. But that's another topic for another time. We hit the 1 hour mark and I found it through. So we'll take it back. Kernel of truth, people lie through their teeth. It's kind of a vicious way of saying that people just say I can't. What they mean is they don't want to, and they know they can get away with saying I can't. Like I can't. You could if you would, you can't. You could if you would. You could if you wanted to, but you don't. That's what I say now. You could if you wanted to, but you don't. Where are my eyes looking when I'm looking at the camera? I'm up. And I'm forward. Hi. I'm looking at where my eyes are on the video on the spec, and therefore I'm looking dead on. Now I'm looking up to the side, so therefore I'm looking up to the side. But I can't see that, because I'm looking forward now. Like obvious things, it's looking at tricks on mine. Anyway, for CHADMicDUP hairstyle stream beats, you know the drill. Left mouse button is how I demonstrate for those who are unaware how to perhaps leave a comment or let their account be associated with this piece of content if they will it to be. You can will it to be. I'm going to demonstrate by left mouse clicking to stop recording in just a moment. If you're still here, we already covered that. Let me know why or why not or what have you. Indicate yay if yay some value, or if nay, perhaps some value as to why. Perhaps because it was an hour long and you're not sure why you're here either. Alright, left mouse click button in 3, 2, CHADMicDUP.